The pandemic has definitely affected the way my office performs its job functions. Before, we would have hearings with people in person, and so especially people with disabilities would come into the office, and we would have a conversation about what they're experiencing and have that one-on-one interaction. Because of the pandemic, of course, our offices closed down, and everything was moved to telephone hearings at first, and then eventually to video hearings using our computers. And so we were pretty lucky because we were able to transition to working from home and still continuing our jobs, being able to talk to people virtually, whether by telephone or through video teleconference through our computers. A lot of people were not as lucky as we are. And they've lost their jobs or lost their livelihoods, lost their businesses accordingly. I do think it's important to have that personal interaction, especially with people with disabilities. I know that even when applying for disability benefits, it's much easier for some individuals to go and speak to people in person and file their application and answer any kind of questions or provide information that they need. So it's imperative that people are able to, at some point in time, go back to open offices and see each other, especially the marginalized community, people that might need some additional help in order to get the services that they need. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, that there's a lot of people and businesses that were not so lucky. We've seen businesses go bankrupt. We've seen people lose their livelihoods. And we've also seen people lose their jobs. Luckily, Portland is a very resilient area, and we have people coming back, and we'll have businesses once again. But we have to remember how difficult it is and how tenuous people's situations are. And we need to make sure that we create an environment where people can come back to work and have an ability to start their businesses again. I know that certain parts of Portland have been decimated by the coronavirus. I know that we're trying to rebuild as much as possible. And certainly we need to make sure that people have the resources that they need in order to be able to reestablish businesses, to hire people, and to be able to continue providing the services that Portlanders need, providing the restaurant services, providing the hospitality services, and all those things that draw tourism to Portland. So things that people who live here can enjoy, and also people that want to come to Portland to enjoy the vibrancy can likewise participate in. And I think that's going to be very important in the next couple of years, is making an environment where that can be fostered. So, luckily I've been able to continue with my work through telework, and I think that there's definitely a shift in that for a lot of people. But also we have to make sure that individuals that are needed to work in person have the safety, both health and otherwise, in order to be able to continue doing that. I'm the co-president of the Public Safety Action Coalition, and that is an organization comprised of people who live in Portland, some people who own businesses in Portland, and also some organizations involving the various communities and businesses in Portland, including neighborhood associations. People came to us because of some of the side effects and collateral things that happened with the pandemic. One is the trash issues in Portland. As I'm sure many of you all have seen, we certainly have a trash problem in Portland. If you drive on the freeways or in the neighborhoods, and that's a problem with the system of government we have here, the fact that it's very decentralized, and you have different services from the city within different bureaus, and you also have different services from the county and metro as to who cleans up the trash. And so they came to find out what they can do to help with those services. And so we coordinated with the city government and brought these issues to light and try to find ways around it. Graffiti removal was another aspect of it. And we coordinated graffiti removal efforts within several neighborhoods, and working with Civic Life, which is a bureau within the Portland government, to train people on how to remove graffiti around the city and what it would take, and to provide supplies for them to do that. So people, when they felt that the government was not providing those services for them, that they could go out with their neighbors, with their friends on the streets, and actually partake in removing the trash and the graffiti. And for the trash also, we partnered with Solve, which is an organization that helps individuals remove trash and some of the syringes and other things that we've seen in our city streets. And the other thing that we've been helping out with as well is helping people come back to the city in order to work. You know, certainly there's been a lot of incidents of crime downtown and in some of the old town areas and on the east side as well, specifically in central Portland, but really all around Portland. And what it would take to allow an environment where people can come back to work and feel safe, where businesses can take down the plywood that's covering their windows and likewise feel safe to operate. So in that respect also we've been talking with city officials and trying to understand ways that we can provide those type of services, whether it can be mental health services in order to help people transition away from a lifestyle that is incompatible with people who are working and living in the area, or public safety measures such as different alternatives to policing such as Portland Street Response. And these are some of the things that we've gotten behind in order to help businesses function, help people who are working in the area come back to their jobs in a safe way, and also help people that are living in these areas to feel confident about being able to return back, to enjoy what the city has to offer, to participate and spend money at these businesses that are really suffering, and also to, once again, enjoy the lifestyle that makes Portland so special. So in that way, we've done a lot of good, and we've been able to talk to individuals that are in charge and bring those resources bit by bit. The problem that a lot of people say is it's too slow. More than ever, people need to participate in our form of government. We have lived through a time that's been very difficult for everybody, and we're finally coming out on the other side, and there's finally light on the horizon. But we need people to participate in the solutions and have their voices heard. And unfortunately, there's too many people that have been divisive about how things are in Portland. It's either east versus west, or poor versus rich, or housed people versus unhoused people. We don't need to be divided, we need to be united. And so what I ask of people is participate in your government. Reach out to the city and find out what commissions or committees you can be part of to make your voices heard. Reach out to your churches and see how you can make your voices heard. Reach out to organizations such as ERCO and find out how to make your voices heard. Because the more we speak out, and the more we get heard, the more that the city will take action to make sure that they're responsive to your needs. And some people say, well, you know, it's our needs versus their needs. It's not one way or the other. There's always a middle ground. There's always a way to find solutions for everybody that works. So in my life, I have spent a lot of time talking to individuals throughout a broad spectrum of Portland community. I've spoken to them, and there's commonality. It's not about dividing people, it's about finding that commonality. People want to be able to live in their neighborhoods in safety. People want to be able to drive their streets and travel in safety. People want to be able to have good jobs and flourish and have good schools for our kids. There's a commonality that unites us all. What we need to do is speak out about that commonality and make sure that that's addressed rather than to speak out about the things that are dividing us. And talk to other individuals, whether it's through religious organizations, community organizations, nonprofit organizations, and make yourself heard. It will work. People want to think that it will not work and they want to keep people divided, but that doesn't need to happen. The more we work together, the better Portland will be for everybody. I've been there. I know what you're going through. My parents have been there. There are hardships that other people do not understand. There are needs that people do not understand. But it's a united thing that we're doing here. We all have the same experiences. We all have the same backgrounds. Even if we come from different countries, we all know what it's like to come to the United States and try to build a better future for us all. The fact that there's so many immigrants, whether it be from Eastern Europe, Slavic states, or everywhere else, makes Portland a melting pot, but only if people actually speak out and vote. So please do your part, reach out, make your voices heard, make your needs heard, and people will listen.